From all your pieces of music, what age group does your music consist of?
Oh, that's a really good question. You mean the age group of the performers, or?
Age group that you're trying to reach out to.
You know, when I'm writing, I'm actually trying to reach all age groups. Because even if I'm writing for a professional orchestra, I'm hoping that you all come to the concert. So sometimes the performers are more experienced, but sometimes they're less experienced. They're in the earlier stages of performing and learning. But I always think about the audience, and I like all ages to come. And even if it's your first classical concert, I think the music should speak to you. That's a good question. I don't think I've ever gotten that one before. That's good.
What is your favorite instrument to incorporate with your music when you write it?
Oh, you know what? I don't think I have a favorite. I often, when I'm writing, I'm exploring different sounds, but right now I'm really into voice because I'm writing a lot of things using voice, and so I find the voice fascinating. And it's interesting, when I'm composing, a lot of times I'm learning about that instrument. So as I'm writing, I'm learning more about the voice and how words work and how you breathe. And how to hold the text. How do you convey what the text has? The piece that you're singing, I wrote the text for, so it's very different than the other piece I'm writing because I'm writing an opera right now. Someone else wrote the words, so I'm taking his words and trying to set that to music. And it's a little different than if I'm writing the words myself. But I'm always thinking the piece has to work for the performers, because if you can perform it, that speaks to the audience.
What kind of a composer would you call yourself?
Or I hope I could call myself a good composer. But I probably, if you had to pick a category, I probably would be a classical composer. But I have written some bluegrass, and I listen to a lot of rock and roll. So it's a little bit of everything influences me when I'm writing. But if you probably looked me up in a dictionary, it'd probably be in a classical music dictionary.
Yesterday you were talking about how you started to play the flute when you were 15. What inspired you to start so late in playing the flute?
You know, I actually have wondered about this. We had a flute at home that my mom had gotten at like a pawn shop or something, and it had been sitting in the attic. I found the flute one day. I was kind of like rummaging around up there, and I found the instrument, and at first I didn't know what it was. I took the case out, I'm like, what is this? And I opened it, and I'm like, oh, this is a flute. Who in my family has a flute? But there was also a band book there. I think probably the basic band book that you start with when you're in school. And I don't know what possessed me to decide to teach myself, but I just thought the instrument looked cool. And so I took it out of the case, and I kind of had to dust the case off. It was really dusty. And I opened the band book, and I just started working my way through it. And something about the performing, even though I wasn't in front of an audience, there was something cool about the sound, feeling it, you know, vibrate in my hands. I loved it. I'd always liked listening to music. I'd always been really fond of that. And I think at an early age I realized that music could be a powerful experience, but I was such a late starter. I don't know why suddenly one day I just started playing an instrument. I think about that a lot. It's an unusual thing. I didn't have a school like this. I wish I had had a school, because one of the things I feel like is missing in my background is singing, because I've always played an instrument, and it's a little different. I mean, there's certain things, you know, it's notes. You've got dynamics and the phrasings, but it's a completely different thing when you actually just produce the sound in your voices, and if there are a bunch of people singing with you, it's very cool. I wish I had done that, and someday I'll find some time to actually join a choir. Would you all advise that?
Yes.
Yeah. You're choir enthusiasts. Yeah, it's good. Well, I plan to take some inspiration from you and give that a try at some point.
When you were writing Hear My Voice, what age group did you think would be singing this song?
Actually, I knew it would be this age group. I knew it would be you all. And so one of the things about that piece is I was thinking about when you're young and you have a good musical experience, how much it means to you. And that's the whole point of the piece. See how enthusiastic your last answer was about, you know, should I join a choir, should I sing? It means something. And your singing means something to people who hear you sing. And I think there's something good about being able to influence people positively. It may kind of send out a good message. So, but I was thinking about you all.
You said that you wrote this piece, Hear My Voice, for children like us.
Mm-hmm.
Are you planning on writing anything for kids like us again?
Oh yeah, I absolutely would. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. And it's been such a good experience. And I try to write as much music as I can. But this is the first time I've done something. I've done something for young band, but I've never done something for young choir. But I enjoyed it so much, I would definitely do it again.
Are you working on any new pieces right now?
I am. I'm writing an opera. That's got a lot of people singing and a big orchestra backing it up. And because I'm telling like a story, it's like 2.5 hours of music. It's a little longer than your piece, which is what, 2.5, I think? So 2.5 minutes, 2.5 hours, you know. But it's got a lot of, it's got a chorus. It has actually it's a men's chorus because it's a Civil War story. So we've got basically it's like a little miniature army of men. And then we've got a bunch of soloists who are singing the individual lines of the characters telling a story. It's fun though. And I've gotten really fascinated with voice because I'm having to think about this a lot.
Do you have any advice for kids or young adults out there who want to become a composer?
Yes, just write. Even if you're just writing notes, any kind of notes. We used to, me and my friends would sit down and we'd make clapping rhythms, and then we would all add, like we'd make some basic rhythm and then we'd all start clapping other rhythms over the top. Write anything. I'd say try writing for the choir here. Yeah, I think I'd be willing to bet you all be good at it because you actually sing in the group, so you know what the music looks like.
Yes.
You've been in the rehearsals. You have a great choir director, so you kind of know what you need to do. In fact, you probably might know better than I would because you've been doing this a lot longer than I have. So I would encourage you to write something. It would be it's an amazing experience to put it down on the page and then hand it to someone and hear it coming back at you. It's very cool.
If you were looking in your attic and then you saw this flute, what do you think you would be doing now?
Oh, let's see. You know, I like to think that I'd be doing music, that something would have happened that I'd be doing music. But before I started playing an instrument, I was doing a lot of artwork, and I was also writing stories, like short stories and poetry, which is a little bit like writing music. You come up with some sort of idea that you go with, and you make something that's a certain length. It's the same sort of thing. It would have been something creative. I think once you experience this kind of thing, it's so much fun that you continue to do it for the rest of your life.
Do you think if there was a school like SCPA when you were in school,
Yeah.
do you think you would have gone there for anything other than music?
No, I think I would have done music. That would have been great. My school didn't have all of this. We only had marching band, which is we did have a choir in the school, but because I'd started in the band, you couldn't be in the choir or the band. You had to be one or the other because they rehearsed at the exact same time. And so because I'd started on the instrument, and then I automatically went into the band program at the school. But if we'd had a school like this, I would have been going.
Was there a composer that inspired you to become a composer?
Oh, to become a composer. Well, I find the Beatles really inspiring. That's what I listened to a lot when I was growing up, so I think Lennon and McCartney would probably be the answer to that. But you know how you hear music everywhere, all the time? I'm kind of inspired just by all the music I hear, even when I'm in restaurants and things like that. I'm always listening to it, figure out what works, you know. And I watch the Grammys, I watch TV shows and concerts, I go to concerts. I find all of it kind of inspiring. And working with you guys, I want to write more choir music because I've heard you sing. It was special. It meant something. It felt good to hear these notes I put down on the page coming from you. The sound was incredible.
What was your first piece you ever composed?
I wrote this little piece called Night Creatures. It was a school assignment for flute and piano. It was only I think it was like 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. And the piano had one note that just repeated. Actually, I think it was supposed to be like a scary movie music kind of thing. It was one note just over and over, and the flute did a bunch of noodling around over the top of it. I don't know where that piece is, but it's somewhere buried in a suitcase somewhere, I'm sure.
Do you play any instruments other than the flute, or would you like to learn how to play any instrument?
Yeah, you know, I would love to be able to play piano. Actually, I'd like to do all of them just to see what they're like. But I think if I were going to try something next, it would probably be singing. I think it would be singing in a choir. It's amazing once you train to be a musician. I tried playing violin, and I was so out of tune, it just drove me crazy. It was really hard to listen to myself practicing. So I think I would like to try singing because that's actually quite different. Although there's similar breathing things, flute playing and what you do for singing, I'd like to try that.
When you're not composing, what do you do in your free time?
I like to go to movies. I like seeing movies. I'm a big movie fanatic. I also like to read a lot, and I walk around. I travel. I like finding new places, checking out the cool restaurants and places, traveling around the world. But I'm a big movie fan.
Would you like to be a world famous composer?
I never think of myself as a world famous composer. Every time I hear someone say that, I'm always surprised, always really surprised. Actually, I'm just a normal composer. I guess some people do know me, but it's pretty cool because you get to work with good musicians like you guys. It's pretty cool. It's fun.
Do you have any advice for like young writers? Like, would you say how to get that young person beginning to write, like how to start?
Yeah, you know what? The best thing to do is to write for your friends. Doing that first, getting a bunch of your friends and saying, hey, can I write something for you? Even if you write just like a little fragment, maybe it was like 12 measures or something, and have them perform it and see what it sounds like. But writing for your friends I think that's probably the most common way that composers get started. Sometimes the composer will get started if they're taking piano lessons and they're like, I don't really want to practice this, so this sounds cool. They'll try something on the keyboard and they'll try writing it down. So it's usually writing for your buddies. It's a good way to start. Those are good questions. I'm really impressed. Did you all think of those yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.